and welcome to the road to nowhere. We're on a road to nowhere. Well, I'm in Castleton and I'm on the road to nowhere, or the Mam Tor road, or you call it the new road. Built in 1819, this road was built because of the Industrial Revolution. They were basically trying to get goods from Sheffield, which is sort of that way to my right, which is only about 20 miles away, or about 30 kilometres. And at that time, the Industrial Revolution was to do with, part with steel. So they've realised that the Mam Tor, Winnet's Pass, which is probably about 500 metres behind me, was too steep for horse-drawn carriages, and the more weight they put on them, the less they could pull up. So they decided to try and bypass it by building it on the, I think it's the east side of that mountain there, which is Mam Tor, hence Mam Tor Road. So they built it, and it seems as though it probably worked initially, but over the years, and what the engineers didn't realise was this road, this part of the Mam Tor is actually shale. So it had no footings, it had no groundings for it. So basically it was just sliding down. They tried for years to try and shore it up, to try and think, and the more weight that came on it, i.e. going towards the, obviously the revolution where we're building cars, and then what happened then was, it was just too much weight, so all these lorries coming up here just made it slide even more. 1974 they shut it down for about 6 weeks, try and shore it up as best they could, but it just wasn't good enough. So what they did in 1979, it was just too dangerous, and they basically stopped it, and they carried on with the Winnet's Pass. As you can see, the tarmac here has been put in layers to try and shore the road up, but it didn't work, it carried on sliding down. So in 1979 they closed the road and they carried on using the Winnet's Pass. I'm at the bottom of the Mam Tor road now, and the road you're looking at down here, when I'm in a couple of miles, leads to Castleton. Now, generally, this road is not too bad. It's the tarmac's still here. It's not cracked. Some of the tarmac is missing, the surface of it, I should say. but generally it's not too bad. This is the start of the collapse road. As you can see, it drops, it's missing there, and it starts to undulate up there. It's not as bad as the top of it, but it's still quite undulated. Now, this road was built in 1819, as I said before, regarding the Industrial Revolution, to try and bypass a very steep pack horse road, which is Winnets Pass. Now, the spoils out of this here, which is the Odin mine, was used to build the road initially in the first place. Morning. Good morning. Morning. Mam Tor, to the locals, was called the Shivering Mountain. Maybe at the time they didn't realise what it were, but this side of the mountain is basically shale, so there's nothing going to stop shale from sliding down. And I think the more weight you put on it, i.e. the road and the tarmac, then the more chance it's going to slide. And with heavy rainfall, it makes it even worse. 1974, they had a massive landslide here. Near the top it would be, I think. And they took, I think, 4 to 6 weeks to actually try to shore it up again and make it so it could you could be driven on. On the bottom side of this Mam Tor road, it's undulates more than anything else. We'll have a walk down it in a minute. This lower part of this road is important for a couple of reasons. There's 2 farms just going off this road here, so I suppose the farmers want obviously to make sure that this road is okay to drive on. See, it's been patched up bits and pieces, but it's still not worked. There's one of the farms. And the other farm's over there. If you get a chance to watch a TV programme which is on Yesterday channel, it's a free channel by the way, on digital TV, it's called Abandoned Engineering. And part of the show is dedicated to this road. Very interesting. If I can find a link, I'll put it on so you can go and view it. It's really interesting. You can see where the engineers have tried to put layers of tarmac on to try and stabilise it. This is a lower part of the road itself. It seems as though this is more stable than the upper part. The upper part's definitely not stable and it's fallen apart. It's dropped by, at least from the top where Blue John Mine is, the road must have dropped by about 20 foot. It's collapsed completely. If you decide to come and visit this road, it's at the very top and I suppose the very bottom of Winnets Pass. If you turn to the top, if you turn towards Blue John Mine and park up there, right near the bottom, you'll hit this road straight away. Or if you go at the bottom of Winnets Pass and turn left, you're on the road then. About 1.5 miles up there. You can walk the undulating section. The road, the collapsed section of the road is probably 0.6 for a mile. It's not much further. It's quite easy to walk as well. We're probably about halfway up this road now, and obviously the council have put this fence here just to let the passengers, people walking through, or cyclists up here now. The rest of the road to the top is, well, you couldn't drive on it, simple as that. It's that bad. This is a road leading off the lower section of Mam Tor Road down to the farm. The farm looks as though it's called Mam Farm. Now, whether that's both farms or not, I don't know. But that's the road to it. So you see how vital this road is in order to the farmers to get out in and out of the dwellings. Well, I hope you like my little video on the history of Mam Tor Road, the road to nowhere, and hopefully I'll see you on the next video, wherever that may be. See you again.